shows. So you're doing what, about 2 shows a month, roughly?
It varies. So I used to say that, con season was, now through like November, with September and October being the super busy times. But since the pandemic, it's been more like winter and spring heavy. Like January through May has been now the new busy season for me. So I'll have, some months where there's like, shows almost every weekend. But, the now sort of the big open spot is the summer. So, we'll have a couple months where I actually just have time to do nothing but get work done, as opposed to just preparing for the next show. But yeah, it's constantly changing, but that's always sort of the nice thing about it too, is that you get to meet new people, trying out new shows. We're kind of figuring out what's the furthest that my husband and I can drive to. So, if it's within, say, like 13, 14 hours, we can drive there and not have to deal with, putting comics on a plane, which is a really big hassle.
I understand that. I've done 18 from New York to Florida, so I know your pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about you, but I'm getting to the point where, I am struggling to find places that are close enough where I can actually get in front of a new demographic, because people on the West Coast are crazy, man. Like, everybody is willing to drive to all of the West Coast shows. And it's like, how do you, we do it because it's our job, but how do these people do it from an attendee standpoint?
Yeah.
Where I'll be in Reno and it's the same people I see in LA. Wow. And I'm like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
But bless them, they do it. But, it's like, okay, how far do I go before I'm not seeing the same people that I know that I've seen at all my other shows? Mm-hmm. And the answer sometimes is doing, like, there's a couple smaller events, which do smaller event shows. They're amazing. Like, there was one on the USS Hornet, the carrier. And there were people there that were just fans of the Hornet. And anytime that they do an event, regardless of what it is, they're there. And so totally new crowd of people. And I was like, yes, awesome. Nice. I'm here for it.
All right, cool.
But you got to find them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice. Brian, what are your thoughts on the question?
Well, I guess I'm going to put it to the test, because I'm just jumping back into comics after like 10 years, and I've got a family now. I'm about to literally sacrifice time with my family to get this out there. So to me, that's the most important thing. And I guess that's what I guess nothing, I'll sacrifice everything, I guess.
All right. Fair enough. JR, what are your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, I think Brian said it all. Like, that is kind of the, actually, Katie and Brian, that, like, social life, vacations, time with your family. I mean, it's you have to be kind of willing to sacrifice it. At least, obviously not all the time, but you have to cut into your time there to make it happen. So that's probably what my answer would be.
All right, fair enough. Greg, what are you thinking?
Not to be a broken record, but yeah, literally all that. I sacrificed going on a vacation just like a couple weeks ago that my mom wanted to take, but I was like, I might have a Comic-Con coming up, so I don't know if I can take vacation for that. She's like, oh, okay. So there's that. And then when we were doing our podcast, I sacrificed time like with my girlfriend, now fiance. Congratulations. Everything has to be about me, obviously. So I have to take time out of my day to do the podcast, and she just sits there, plays Nintendo Switch or something. So yeah.
All right. Well, listen, at least she likes video games.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Travis, what are your thoughts? You're muted, sir.
It was breathing. So this is going to be super tough for me. But I'm willing to give up JD's Galactus. I thought about it. Jay's Galactus, I'm willing to give it up. I didn't want to give it up, but
I know. Hey, it's a tough call. I get it.
If I have to give up something, I think Jay's things are more less threatening to my life than my things.
You're making me think. You're making me think. I like where you're headed, brother.
As long as it's not my family, I think family's more important. I've done what I've my bare minimum of comics. You know, when I first created comics, my goal was to just put it into someone's hands that wasn't, you know, that I knew in my network, right? I did that day one of Kickstarter, and then I was like, all right, so let's get some international fans. All right, I got some international fans. And then I was like, let's get on comic book shelves. All right, I can get on comic book shelves. So kind of running out of like things that I need to. But as long as it wasn't my family, pretty much anything. You know, if you need me to get rid of some stuff to pay for some art, I've done that in the past. I had to get rid of my Miles Morales #1 first appearance, which was set my Spider-Man first appearance, because we needed some money to pay for some books, you know. Still get some of my big cats, but yeah, if you got to do what you got to do.
All right, cool. All right, Jay, you're up.
All right, you ready? You ready? You know, along the lines of what Travis would give up, you know, something that's not his. Calderon, I'd give up your ass. You know what I mean? You said we're working blue tonight.
You
Let
know
me
it's
tell you,
funny.
bro,
You know it's
that's a
funny.
virgin ass. That has yet to be touched by penis. I could get good money for that ass, bro.
That's
Here in New
the
York,
answer.
especially.
That's the same
Woo!
exact thing you said on Tuesday. What was the show? Friday? Please try to at least be original. You understand?
I didn't say we were going to give up your ass on Friday. We
said
did.
the same exact thing.
I was drinking. It doesn't count. It doesn't
was-
count when
it
I
was
say when I've got a
then.
couple in me.
It was
doesn't
weak
happen, bro.
then. It's weak now.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Weak? You know how tight your ass is?
Okay, so some people just need a timeout. You know what I mean? Some people just need a timeout. So anyway, I know I would. You know, it's funny. It's because my main goal is finishing my projects. One of them is the Oswald Chronicles, right? And you know, I have stuff, right? Like Jay has his Galactus, and I have my Cthulhu statues, and my H.P. Lovecraft statue, and they're the Randy Bowen ones. They're, you know, I mean, when I bought them, they were about $100, but I think now they're retailing for about 1,000, maybe 1,200. I don't have to give them up, but if the sacrifice was to get those things done, I would give those up. You know, because, like I said, I mean, as much as I love these things, the project is way, way more important to me. All right, so let's bring back this person.
At least 500,000 we could get for it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, all right, Jay, ask your question.
Wait, hold on. You think you would get 500,000? Let's not.
Yeah,
I'm getting yelled at. I'm getting yelled at
that's
right now.
inflation, I guess.
I just don't know who would pay 500,000. If you know those type of people, Jay.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Right, you should
gotta
be
give up
able
a
to
little
find
bit
out
of
your own
pain.
book.
You know what I'm saying? If you want, we could get you some propofol. You won't feel a thing, kid.
He knows.
This is what I have to deal with on a weekly basis. You know?
So better health is
You know
about
what?
100
So
a
let's
month.
go. Let's go with what I've given up. All right. I won't make fun of him online anymore. I'm sorry. See, I'm getting yelled at here. I'm getting yelled at for you. She's got to stop watching your wife's show. I really.
Well, I mean, you know,
they're bad influence.
no, they're good.
But you know what? You know what? Look, it looks like I've given up my sanity. So I don't know what else I've given up for comic books. You know, short of my marriage. But with good jokes like this, it may cost me. But the question for tonight from me is, how do you handle a collaborator that's not holding up their end of the deal?
That's a good one.
We got a couple of collaborators here on the show.
All right, Brian, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I've had this. I was a writer once upon a time, and I understand the pain of an artist who is unwilling to put effort in so that I can see pages. How do I deal with it? Pretty much broke up a friendship over it. It was one of those situations. It got really bad. Because we made promises. And then I kind of took a break after that. You know, it was a big deal. So I think if what you're doing is important to you, you got to be clear about deadlines and forgiving, obviously, when you have to be. But I mean, you know, if you're a boss, if you're paying somebody, if you're you got to be a boss a little bit, and just be
A lot of
willing to do the hard thing.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. JR, what are your thoughts?
Definitely, putting your foot down, communicating. I mean, if there's a few problems up front, just clear communication. There could just be some misunderstandings, but if it's a reoccurring problem, going your separate ways is commonly the solution. And honestly, I think it might hark back to like being picky about your collaborator, making sure that you have a good, a good relationship with them, because it's easy to get taken advantage of, and vice versa, to accidentally take advantage of somebody. And so like making sure that they're holding up their end of the bargain, and like somebody you trust, somebody you feel good about. I think like I said, it harkens all the way back to when you were first talking to somebody. And if you feel a little weird about it, if you have some red flags, it's like you gotta trust your gut and not, start working with somebody you're not sure of. So
All right, fair enough. Greg, what are you thinking?
Just don't trust anybody named Josh.
damn. Oh, good thing my name's not Josh.
JR. So
I've had a few people that have like been flaky, like artists and stuff. So I usually run through the project depending on how far they are, and then I just stop working with them after. So yeah, I try my hardest to communicate with them, and sometimes it just didn't work out, and sometimes I wasn't as high as a priority as I thought I should have been. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
all right, fair enough. Katie, what are you thinking?
I mean, so for me, it's a little bit of a weird question because I, do the entire comic myself. But I would say the times in which I'm dealing with, other entities, such as, say, printers, for example, I make sure that the quality of the, books that I'm receiving are up to whatever standards I have. And so if something's wrong, I let them know. Communication is key, and regardless of whether you're talking to, a printer or another vendor like that, or if you're dealing with, say, somebody that's ordering a commission from you, you want to be as upfront and honest from the moment that you start the project, because it after the fact is too late. And, I can only, control the communication that I'm in charge of. And I only hope that it's clear and concise enough that the people on the other end don't have to have any more questions, because, whatever the blurb is answers everything up front. But there's been some times, especially with printers, where the question comes down to, why isn't it as, it was explicitly ordered, and what do you do? And, it's rough, but you just have to be upfront and honest with them, because otherwise you're just going to get bad prints, and that doesn't work, especially in comics.
Fair enough. Travis, what are your thoughts?
So I've been through this a time or two. So I do one of three things. One, I show an internet post of the last time I went through this problem and ask them if they want to go through that experience that this other person I put through. Most of the time they say no. Two, a lot of times when you're collaborating with somebody, it's not working out and you need to separate. I'm talking about when you need to separate, not when you need to put them in the fire, but you need to separate. A lot of times they don't see the value in what you have as much as you do. So ask to buy them out. And I've had to buy someone out twice. And it was very low because they don't see the value, or you wouldn't be having these problems. So, the price wasn't that big of a deal. So to get rid of that hassle for a couple $100, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And the third thing is, try to work, when things are rough, try to figure out what makes the deal stuff. Try to build incentives in to help make these relationships better, right? So, for instance, with Cthulhu right now, we have a creator copy. So, they get a creator copy with it if they back the project. If they share it out, I make sure that I throw them a little bit extra. Like I'm doing all these little extra things to try to help. incentivize, whatever I can to make this a worthy thing. However, I think that one of the things that I think creators, and myself included, I think anybody who's our age, me, JD, and Jay's age, I think everybody else is a little younger than us, we just saw artists switched out so often when we were kids that we're like, we'll never do it. I'll never fire my artist. I'd rather not do the project where it's not that big of a deal anymore, like as it used to be. Like that creative team staying together used to be like the end all be all. And if they didn't do it, but now it's not that big of a deal. Hire somebody else. You have to.
All right, fair enough. For myself, it depends. Like, all right, whenever I'm establishing a relationship with an artist, I mean, I typically start the route where I'll hire him to do a pinup, and then from a pinup, I might move to a short story. And if they could fulfill the short story, then I'll move on to something bigger. But it's always a thing of like, I only commission for pages in a small increments. Like I'll be like, all right, we'll work, since you're new, we'll do 5-page increments. I'll pay half up front. If they can fulfill those 5, and then I'll look at the first 2 or 3, obviously. And if there's some corrections and I can see that they can make those corrections without much of a hassle, they follow instructions, so on and so forth, then, we can continue. I have cut off artists on page 2. I've just been like, sorry, buddy, this isn't working, because I gave them instructions. I gave them clear instructions as to what I wanted. They didn't follow them. And I was like, well, you know what? This isn't working out. Right. And I always put an out clause in whatever agreements I have with people. You understand? So if they can walk away, I can walk away. It is what it is. I pay them for what they did. Auf Wiedersehen, have a nice day. That's it. But the thing is the thing that's the most important thing is, don't ever pay them up front for the entire project. Ever. Because I know if I go to my boss and I say, yo, I want you to pay me for the rest. I want you to pay me through to the end of September or through the end of October. I'm pretty sure I would get laughed out of that office.
Yeah.
Right?
No matter how many professional credits they have.
Oh, and hold on. One last thing about professional. All right. I've said this before and I'll say this again. Professional, that word is very, very, very misused. Okay.
Yes.
Because they might be professional level artists. They might be professional level writers. They might be professional level editors. That does not make them professional level publishers. It doesn't make them even a reliable artist. They might be able to do a professional level work, but if they can't get you that work on time, they're not necessarily professionals.
Yep.
Okay. Same thing with writers, same thing with editors.
Yep.
You got to build that reputation. You understand? So just because you worked at a certain company does not make you a professional in my eyes. You got to prove that to me, or at least have a CV where I can talk to somebody or a few people that will say, yeah, this person's on time, this person's good, so on and so forth. And I've done that before. I've called other creators and asked them about this artist that they've worked with. They're great.
That's cool. Yes.
So
yes.
there
And
you go, Jay.
I am going to say I'm an example of, no matter how seasoned you think you are, stick to your guns and do not let someone who has professional credentials or comes to you with such think that they will not operate any other way that any other freelancer in a rough time will act. Protect your neck at all costs.
Mhm.
And when their money is not involved, you are the one that will be paying the biggest consequence, right? And I'm not just talking about collaborators now. I mean, people who have opinions, everyone will tell you what to do whenever their money is not involved.
That's true. I like wasting Jay's money all the time. And I like selling his Galactus too.
You son of a...
I recently had this situation. A friend of mine died, and I'm taking on his next. He had another issue that's down to like the last 4 pages. And one of the creators on that randomly sent me a message, 2 months after death, say, hey, I'd like to talk about money owed. And I was like, well, what money is you owed? Well, I'm going to be doing this for the project, this and that. I'm trying not to say what it is, so you don't know which version it is. And I was like, I don't see any of that done. Like, why would I owe you anything? And he was like, oh, I misused the word owed. No, you used the proper word. You wanted money now for something that you haven't done. And now you're not getting anything because you are now demanding it. And this same person, when the thing happened, was like, I'll do the rest for free. It's no problem. And now, like, nothing's being worked on, and he still wants his cut now, you know. And the wife is still grieving. I was never been so angry. I'm so like, but they'll do that. They'll take advantage of you sometimes if they think that they're on a different level and can do that. They will.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. People know how to sniff out what they think is a money mark, and they will sniff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Travis, you got a question?
Yeah. So my first question is, and this is going to be something that I really want you to reflect on before you answer. If your book that you're trying to publish now was on the shelf for the comic stores right now, do you think it would make an impact, and how many copies do you think it would sell if it was just on the shelf from people coming in on Wednesday?
Fair enough. Josh, you're up, sir.
That is a tough question. I'm not quite sure. I don't know numbers that well as far as, I haven't really sold my own books like in volume like that. And so I don't know what would be a lot, I guess I could say. So, I mean, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, I'm not quite sure.
All right.
Let's make it easier. One shop. Just one shop that doesn't know your name. So it can't be like your local shop.
I got you. If that's the case, then I mean, like, I feel like it would pique interest, but I don't think it would like sell like hotcakes because it's it's nothing that would necessarily might stand out to certain fans, but I think the typical goer that would be going through a shop right now, I don't necessarily think they'd be resonating with it. So honestly, probably not. It probably wouldn't do great, unfortunately. But that's coming from, again, somebody who doesn't necessarily know well enough about the market.
All right. Greg, see if you can help out your partner.
Well, the only comic that we've, as Sierra Nova, has had in a store, thanks to Kickstarter, was Mittens, the first issue. And it was the collective in Florida, and that sold out as soon as they got them, I think. So that was kind of cool. But that's the only numbers that I know, and that was like 10 or 8 or something copies. So nothing like thousands. So I don't know. That's as much as I know about store numbers.
All right. Fair enough. Katie, what are your thoughts?
I mean, my one point of comparison, I've done a couple in-store signing type situation at local comic shops, and I think the most we ever did was like 19, 20 copies in a day, which was excellent. I want to say the low end was maybe like 8 copies or something. But I would like to believe, especially with my new issue, that the cover is different enough that I think that would at least spark some interest. But yeah, it's hard to say. I would say that the advantage that my comic would have is that, I've been noticing less and less all ages comics in shops. And so the fact that it's, an all ages fantasy title, at least I know from my own experience that, I as a kid would walk into a store and be like, ooh, that looks cool, let's try it out. But it's, because it's so much on the shelf, is it interesting and different enough? And I think that would be my call out, is that it's you know, the all ages is becoming less and less a part of the market, which makes me sad, but that's what I have.
All right, fair enough. Brian, what are you thinking?
Well, my last book was in 4 stores, and it sold about 3 out of 10 without me being there. This new one, God, who knows? Based on my Kickstarter marketing this time, I'd say it'd be very hard to find its audience, especially in a comic book store. It'd probably do better in like an anime store or gaming store somewhere else. Like, it would, I think the cover would look different, but it'd be hard to gauge that, right? We're experimenting. We're not really store focused, when we do it online, so it's a totally different marketing structure. Our covers and things, we just think about it a different way. We're thinking about internet marketing as opposed to necessarily what's on a shelf, right? Otherwise our covers, I think, may look different as a result. I think we would go at it a different way. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully 3 out of 10, but who knows?
All right. Interesting. Mr. Rosario, what are your thoughts?
This is a very tough question. It's a good question, Travis. It's a tough question because I come from one of my past lives as a vendor. I used to sell beer. I used to sell beer to supermarkets and bodegas and corner stores, right? And what we would do for activations or to get things into the normal retail outlets is not how the comic shops operate, right? We would push things, try to get them on an end cap. Most shops don't have end caps, right? We would try to get an activation in the store where we would have the equivalent of booth babes. Well, you're limited into how many places you can do that live, right, on a Wednesday, especially on a Wednesday. I doubt that's going to happen. I have tried to get books into regular corner stores or bodegas out here. I had them in 4 shops on a clip strip. I don't know if you guys know what a clip strip is. If you've gone to like a Walgreens or CVS or anything like that, you see a strip of batteries hanging off of a shelf or on an end cap, right? So I would polybag books with a trading card, put them on a clip strip, hang it in bodegas on the chip rack, right? The most traveled locations when you go to corner stores. 4 stores, 12 books each. I didn't even move 2, right? But then, do they know? How do you push it? How do you do internet marketing for a corner store? One of the things we used to do with the beer activations was if we had a launch at a certain location and a certain location would order X amount of cases from us, we'd run a radio spot, right? We'd pay for the radio spot, identifying that shop. Is that something we can do with podcasts, right? For certain locations, pay for a spot on someone's podcast that's well viewed. Is that something that a shop would be interested in? Is that something that a shop would understand? I don't know. I'm not in shops yet. I'm willing to test certain theories to an extent, right? I can't exhaust my budget. How many would I move from that? I know what my goal would be, but until I attempt it, I won't be able to measure any sort of parameters from it. Right? I mean, we're always talking about how movie theaters should be, the comic book movies should be running spots for the local comic book shops. Okay, well, you know what? Can I go to these same theaters that is running whatever Marvel movie or DC movie, and if the local shop is ordering X amount of units from me, can I buy time on the pre-roll, right, before the movie starts? Hey, pick up Jay's book at, Bobby and Gina's shop 15 minutes from here, or XYZ. Could I do that? Would a shop be interested in that? That's things like I said. I have a ton of ideas, but I don't have the money to execute all of the ideas that are running through this noggin. And again, a lot of that has been based on the experience that I had in that life as a vendor. And I know how hard it was to get the lower tier beers into these places. It is a lot harder to get an upper tier book into a comic shop.
All right. Fair enough. Look, I mean, Travis, this question is bothering me only because I've been self-publishing since '92, and like currently on Kickstarter, I have a book that I've self-published. This one is the one I published in '92. It's in black and white. The one I'm doing currently is in color, but this book, I know we sold about 5,000 copies of it. It was between two covers. It was this cover and another cover. You know, I was involved with this. This is Tenchi Muyu. This is something I wrote in the 90s. These sold about 7,000 to 8,000 copies per pop, right? This thing, La Blue Girl. This is a trade paperback of this book. Went through 3 printings, 10,000 copies of each. You understand? Not like I ever saw any royalties. That would have been nice, but it didn't happen. But you know, this more La Blue Girl. These are the single issues. These sold 10,000 copies per issue, right? And this is just that. I mean, I've been in other stuff like Furlough and stuff where I know she was probably selling about 3,000 copies per issue. I mean, in today's market, though, I'll be honest with you, I think any independent publisher outside of like an established publisher would be lucky to sell 3 to 5 copies per shop.
Yeah.
You know, if you're maybe with Scout or Boom or one of these other companies, maybe you can get up to 10, 15, 20. Travis, you'd probably be better suited to answer that because you're more involved with those guys. But I think, you know, like I think even AP, I've spoken to Ben a few times. I think his highest selling book sells about 4,500 copies, right? So, you know, we're looking, if we're lucky, 10, 15 copies. But I mean, if you're going it on your own, you're probably lucky if you see 3 to 7 copies per shop, if you're lucky.
Right.
And that's to like about 300 shops.
I want to throw a number on here while you're talking. It's a little dated. It's when Dinesh was still running Valiant. I don't know if you guys remember how far back that was. This was before Bad Idea. But I remember he was saying quite a bit how 80% of the revenue that Valiant was making came from only 20% of the shops that were out there.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if he had hit 30% of the shops or 40% of the shops to carry his books. Would he still be running Valiant right now? Would that be, you know, not in aliens' hands right now? Would that not be kickstarting a Bloodshot book right now? Right. So it's hard to move our stuff into shops. And then I want to throw another number out here. Milton Greep on ICV2 a few weeks back threw this number out. Single issue sales are down 6% at this point of the year to date. Graphic novels are down 7% year to date. Yet Kickstarter projects are up 30% year to date. The majority of those books are indie. He didn't say sales, he said launches. Right? So, I mean, are we is the juice worth the squeeze to put so much energy into shops?
I don't know. Travis, what are your thoughts?
First, I find it interesting that a lot of you guys went to numbers and whether or not stores are selling versus just does my book hold up to the other books that are on the shelf? So it's kind of interesting of the mind process of an indie comic creator. So I find that interesting. Unfortunately, for this particular project, I know the answer. You know, if it's a comic store that doesn't have games, it does. It'll do about 3 with that $35 a pop. It's pretty good. If it has a game section, like if it's very active, like game/games/comics, we'll sell about 10 copies opening weekend, and then they'll sell the rest over time. Again, at a big price tag, $35 a pop because it's a graphic novel. But yeah, it's really interesting. Just think about that, and that's why I brought that question up. Is more of the look, but I think our instinct is like we all get lost in the weeds of like numbers and this and that. It's so interesting. Just us hearing the bad news of comic stores and how it kind of drowns us in our thought process, versus just being like, if it was there, what does it look like compared to what's there?
Well, I mean, your thought is like what, that our books in comparison to other books on the racks, do we think we could hold up against those books, or are you saying just in general, like the bad news that of what the market is going through? I mean,
just interesting. I think we're worried about what comic stores will order, not what would sell. Right. We're at that point where we're more worried about what they would order than what they would sell. Because I believe 100%. Actually, I know it in practice. If you find a good relationship with the comic store, like we had with the Collective, using Greg as an example, right, you can sell all day because you have a good relationship with that comic store. Those people who are running that shop sell things. No different than what Jay was saying with the bar, with the boob girls. It's the same thing. They just don't have boobs and they're less attractive.
Well, they might.
Good. Right. It's they're going to sell your stuff. I'd love to debate this Tyler guy, but that's not what the show's about, right?
I don't know. I was kind of wondering if anybody knows this guy. Tyler, if you want to come on and talk, let me know. I'll send you a link next week. We can discuss it.
Yeah, I would be on that show because I would like to put him in his place.
It's fun to type in the chat, but I'm telling you, I'm willing to give you a seat in the show.
Right. And I sell comics in the direct market and not in direct market. So let's go.
I read. That's where I get my numbers from, reading.
Oh yeah, look at this. Look, very brave on the keyboard.
Yes, to sell, dude, so you can get your name in lights. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what his reference points are. Maybe he knows something we don't. I would like to be educated.
Let's see his link to his 22K Kickstarter, and then we'll talk.
Oh well, there you go.
That's your bar. You can come on. I'll put you on a show. Just go ahead and send me a link showing you got that, and then we can talk. Until you have that, please go.
Yeah. All right. As a matter of fact, as we're talking about Kickstarter, let's pull one up. Here we go. Steel Victory.
That's my book.
That's your book. Do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that's my book. It's my little Super Sentai noir mystery comic book. It takes place 15 years after the events of a Power Rangers-like story where the giant robot's still rusting in San Francisco Bay, and our red champion is now a private investigator who ends up having to investigate a member of his team for a terrible crime It's a issue 1 of it's a 3-issue series. Yeah, I'm funded. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that I got here. I was kind of worried about this one for a while, trying to find the audience for it, but I think I've managed to get it to eke out, and I'll be happy to have it, at shows and stuff.
All right, cool, very nice. So, you said this is the first of 3 issues. How many pages is this first issue?
22 pages for this issue. That includes a couple of backup pages. There's a reward where somebody can come in and help me out by designing their own kaiju. Where the giant robot, the Victory, battles it in a sort of a past scene, a flashback. And I've already got 1 taker, so I've got room for I had room for 4. So I'd like to have 4 kaiju if possible, but I'll take another person if they want to. That's definitely one of the better rewards there.
All right, nice. Now, you said at one time you were just a writer. Now you're a writer artist.
Yeah, I was a writer. I was a playwright and an actor, and I picked up Ultimate Spider-Man one time and was like, oh, I love comics. I forgot. And then I was like, well, this playwriting thing's hard. It takes too many people. I'm gonna just write comics, right? Cool. And so I was working on that for a long time, but drawing kind of on the side, I always had a little ability to do that, but I never believed in myself as oh, I could just draw a whole comic. And then after I got married and left a career, I became a stay-at-home dad, and I just worked on getting my art to where I would hire myself. That was kind of my benchmark. Would I hire myself for this script? I finally kind of got there. My daughter went off to kindergarten. I was like, all right, I'm going to start publishing my books. I've drawn a few over the last few years, and they're starting to roll out now. So this is one of them. I did Grave Sitter, number 1 and 2, and number 3 will be coming in the next couple months.
All right, nice. I mean, listen, it's awesome. I'm a writer. I started off as a writer artist. I think most writers, we all start off as writer artists. And then I met the friend who was just so damn good. I was like, yeah, I can give that up. So.
Yeah, I tried that. I tried that.
She's called your wife, JD. She's called your wife. Give her a proper name.
Well, yeah, she was one of those friends. But no, there was actually someone even younger. But it looks really, really nice. Are you funded? You got 35 hours left. So people, now's the time to jump on. The link is in the show notes. Go get this book.
Yeah, it's a great one. I got stickers, bookmarks, all that stuff. Some add-ons. You can buy my old books. They're great. And I'm starting to get the second one out now to people.
All right, cool. Very nice. All right. Who do we lose?
JR. He had to go.
I hope everything's all right.
Oh, okay. I hope everything's all right. Yeah, it's always weird when I come back and there's a box, there's a square missing.
He had an emergency. I hope he's all right.
Oh, okay, yeah. I hope everything's all right, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. At least one member of the team is still here. Greg, do you want me to play this video?
Yes, it's my favorite video.
Okay. All right, very nice, man. Very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful looking book, Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all JR.
Yeah, that was a very fun video. Enjoyed that a lot.
He also animated that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. So, Greg, walk us through it. walk us through this. What do we got?
This is the last issue of this plot arc for Mittens. This continues after the second issue. Now they're going to do the vault job. There's a whole mission that Mittens is on with that Oscar Paughton character that's in the trailer. The cat sitting at the desk. He has to get this item from this other planet, and then the item is way more important than he thought it was. He thought it was just a simple like dog toy that he wanted for some reason, and it actually opens a vault. And that brings us to issue 3. So there's multiple different alien beings after him. You got Commissioner Quackers that's after him, which is like the police of space. You have a bounty hunter named Griff, that's the panda. He's after him, and then also a bunch of other people. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, listen, man. The book. Listen, you've been on. I think for every issue you've been on this show, and every issue it just looks more. It just looks better and better every time.
Yeah.
You know.
Thanks.
Yeah. You guys are doing great work.
It's no ink, but it's a decent book, I guess. But no, I think this is the book that you guys is Sierra Nova has become you guys' flagship title. Like it's really taken over.
Yeah, a lot of people like Mittens and space cats in space. So it's the easiest thing to pitch at a con too. All I have to do is yell, "Do you like cats?" and then they come on over.
Nice. I mean, you got 10 days ago. You double funded. You're well on your way. So you're good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thanks.
All right. Cool. All right. Let's see who's up next. Don't mind me. I still need a damn. Still need a producer here. All right. So, Katie,
Yeah,
you want me to play this video?
sure, go for it. Hello, everyone. It's me, Katie Shaw, the cartoonist behind Dragon Child, and I'm back for my second Kickstarter campaign. I would like to welcome you all to the Kickstarter for Dragon Child issue number 9. Thank you for checking out my indie comic project. For those of you who are back from the first Kickstarter, thank you for your continued support. And if you're new to Dragon Child, I am so glad that you're here. Dragon Child is a modern-day fantasy comic where mythical creatures are real, and the dragons have picked one human to represent all of those creatures to humanity. That unsuspecting human girl is Ryu Kodomo, our main character. So far, she has learned that elves and dragons are real, want her help, and in our last issue had her first training session as the Dragon Child. Issue 9 picks up with our main group of characters enjoying a swim in the river after that training. And that's not all. On the other side of the world, we catch up with a griffin who we've not seen since the end of issue 5. His name is Sandrake, and through him, we meet the main villain of Dragon Child, Kai. This issue will have 24 pages of black and white comic, all of which are ready to be inked and toned and then sent off to the printer. The cover is complete, and I think that it and all of the drawn pages look awesome. Reward-wise, there are many options past issue number 9, including the ability to adopt some of my handmade dragons. Yep, back for round 2 are my own dragon characters that I hand-make myself into large plush toys and hand puppets. And new to this campaign, I decided to spice up the rewards with a limited hand-bound edition of all 9 issues sewn together and topped off with gold foil cutouts. There will be only 10 of these books available, and if you pick up one of those, you can even choose the cloth cover color. I hope you're all as excited as I am to get your own copy to read. And thank you all again for stopping by to support my comic book Kickstarter for issue number 9.
Very nice. Katie, I gotta say a little too much. I can't do it. Wouldn't be able to do that, any of that stuff.
Fair enough.
Too extra. Yeah, I love it though. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
Yeah, but walk me through this. What are we looking at?
Yeah. So basically, I have some of the examples from previous issues. All ages modern day fantasy comic. I grew up reading Bone, and so black and white comics are my jam. And I, as I was saying before, do a bunch of cons every year. The middle of this campaign, actually, I'm going to be doing a big one in my neck of the woods, Sac Anime in Sacramento. And it's, always nice to be able to combine Kickstarter campaigns with live events so that you can, utilize both to get stuff out there. But I just am always so humbled by the people who, are willing to support what I do, and making all of the, stuff both for the comic and for the plush stuff is so much fun. It's a little bit, I probably do too much myself, but at the same time, it's a joy to create all of it. So, I clearly haven't let that go and let somebody else do it. But it's this time around, I ran into some issues that kept it from happening sooner. Late last year, we found out that one of my cats had cancer, and so 6 months stopped all of my comic work, whatsoever. And so now, luckily, she's cancer free, and I was able to get all of this to where it is now. But so that was something that I couldn't give up, was making sure that my cat was okay. But it's, I'm definitely here for, just the traditional way of making comics. I still, as you can see from the pictures here, start everything traditionally and then end it digitally. Mostly because I like keeping the pencils. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that. But the other result of that too is that by digitally inking everything, I'm essentially just duplicating, sort of the end result, but without any of the, possible errors coming through in the scanning process. So, I end up with a nice clean line art, which is also my jam. So that makes me happy. But for the hand-bound one, so this is, I'll hold one up so that people can see a little bit. So this is my test bed. And it's, a little bit smaller because I essentially did it where, it's an 8.5 by 11 folded in half. But, I'm making them all myself, and it's, I think, a fun little thing to spice everything up because, so often with Kickstarters, it's like, okay, what did I do last time? What worked? What didn't? And, I figure, why not give myself something extra to do? But there's only gonna be 10 of them. So that's another fun little thing, is that, hopefully the limited number will entice people to back early. But like I said, I launched this today, decent amount of backers in already. So I'm, significantly less stressed about the start of this one than I was, for the last campaign, which was my first. So, hopefully that means that I've learned things from, what happened last time. And hopefully, I can spend a good portion of this, both inking the comic to get it so I can show more stuff off, and, working on maybe hitting, most, if not all, of the stretch goals.
All right, very nice.
Hey, what takes you more time, to finish a page or finish a plush?
Oh, easily the plush. The plush takes a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, the puppets take a day. It's like 3 to 5 days of solid sewing for the plushes, depending on which one. So yeah, definitely a plush. Unless the page is really awful. Let's be real. Sometimes you get a page, and I try and limit myself to one per issue where it's just so overly detailed that, it makes my artist heart happy, but at the same time, it's like you can't have too many of those because then the thing doesn't get done.
Would you ever
But
do
it's
a
a balance.
campaign for the plush first, and try to knock out a bunch of them? Or
I
no?
mean, so if I were to do that, so there's 2 plushes that are characters that I would want to be bigger than the ones that I already make. And if I were to do that at all, it would have to be for one of those 2. I have a friend who's been bugging me for one of the blue dragon characters, who's kind of like this big rhino dinosaur dragon looking thing.
Okay.
And he's been begging me for years to make one, and maybe I could do it for that. But because they're all handmade and not, mass market, it's like, would that make sense? I'm not sure.
Right.
They're honestly treated more as booth babes than anything. And, it's, when one sells, I make a new one. So it's not like, you know, my husband's constantly reminding me we're here to sell comics, not the dragons. But I'm happy to do both.
Nice.
How
Now-
come you don't have the pencils as a reward?
As a pencil?
As a reward, the pencils. You have pages, right?
Oh, good question. So to be honest, I enjoy keeping them. I've had a few people, especially for the covers, wanting to buy those, but I have no idea what I would charge for those. I mean, I can always add it as a reward, I suppose, but it's.
I think
Do you
you'd be
have-
surprised.
Yeah, no. Do you have like I said, I have no. clue
I've
where
sold
I
art
would
in the
even start.
past as my last two books, $65 to $100, depending on what it was, $200 cover. Just
Yeah.
go for it. See what happens.
One thing that I've considered as well. So back when I was first starting this project, I did 2 of the issues. So 1 and 2, obviously, in a completely different aspect ratio, and they were all done completely by hand. So I have all of those pages, you know, with the physical, like, you know, sticky back tones pasted on the pages, and that's not even, you know, the version of the comic that's being sold. So I've considered if I were to put up those originals of the original version of the original stage of the comic. Do you think something like that would make sense? Or do you think that if you're selling art that it has to be from the issue or, you know, part of the project that you're currently working on?
That's a good question.
Does that make sense?
Go back to whatever you got to do to get funded.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You might have one fan that just wants everything, for all you know.
Yeah, well, and
Sure.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and the whole, you know, throw it at the wall, see if it sticks, because you never know, you know, where people are coming from. But yeah, I definitely could.
Can I give a piece of advice?
Absolutely.
So one of the things that new creators, as I see this is your second campaign you created, that they don't realize that they can do, that's the easiest way to get backers is go to your old campaign and do an update.
Yes.
Go to your past campaign for this. I looked at it. It looks like you haven't updated it since 2022. And that's, you do that, let them know that you're live, and some of them will come over because they love the book. They love the
absolutely. Well, and I know that some of the backers, at least 3 of them, I want to say, are from the previous campaign already.
Yeah, they'll get a message, but you have to sign up. If you don't sign up for that, you can't message them unless you get like an update.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's that's later today's project for sure, is, you know, sending that update and getting out all the MailChimp emails and all that good stuff.
Cool. You got 29 days to go, so I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, no, I'm pleasantly pleased with where we're at, considering that only launched a couple hours ago.
Okay, cool.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So. Again.
I'm really sad that Tyler's not very hostile anymore. I liked hostile Tyler. This calm, saying things were good is not as exciting as hostile. But whatever, that's fine.
I think seeing the art has calmed him down and made him happy.
Yeah. Maybe
that's another energy drink, more alpha energy, Tyler.
Yeah.
I got Brown, boys.
Like I said, he's more than welcome to come on the show. I'm more than happy to have civil conversations with anybody.
Play my video, JD.
Yes. Yep. You want me to play the video?
Yeah, please.
All right. It's rolling. How's it look?
I wish somebody put a fake play image right up there in the marquee image, just to get it, you know.
I wonder if I could get away with doing a Rickroll, like you put it into the Rickroll.
That would be great.
That'd be fun.
Copyright strike.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
all right, Travis, what are we looking at? Talk us through this, sir.
No one knows. I just keep doing these things. So my best, this is a Ringo nominated book, as they like to say in the business. Cthulhu Invades Fairy Tales. This is the 4th one of the series. We have invaded Oz. We have invaded Wonderland. We have invaded Neverland. And now we got to get all those small pocket little universes like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Rumpelstiltskin, Little Red Riding Hood, all those great things. So I've got 20 creators on this book, creating this, tackling different fairy tales and having a lot of fun with it. So It's been doing really well. We're almost funded. We're $300 away, so we're doing really good. And that cover is just my God.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I signed him for 3. I was like, yeah, you have to do all of them now.
I'm sorry. Scroll up a sec. Maybe because the image is smaller, I don't have my glasses. Are those 2 red dots in the top left? Is that Cthulhu, or is just too small for me to make out? I can't tell.
Cthulhu's in the water. Over the left, the little red dot is an apple.
Just an apple.
White.
Okay.
And then in the bottom corner, you could, if it was bigger, you could see it's a crystal slipper.
Gotcha.
Or glass slipper in the
That's
proper
banging.
affairs.
I like it.
But yeah, we've got some great teams on there. We've got some really big people. We've got Clay Adams. We've got Mr. Brian Wolf. We got Chuck Setterly. We've got myself. We've got Jack Holder. A lot of the who's who in indie comics are doing a lot of really cool stuff. And it's just awesome. I'm so excited about this one. I know you're a big backer of all of them. You were in the last one, JD, so you know how much time, effort, and energy we put into these things. So it's a lot of fun.
No, these are awesome, man. I mean, they're always fun to read, fun to go through it. I mean, they're great books.
Yeah, this one's a little different than the ones we've done in the past. So what's different about this one compared to the ones we normally do is they're all individual stories. So it's like more of a traditional anthology, unlike the prior 3 where there's like a through line. So it's just individual stories of Cthulhu invading all these wonderful fairy tales.
Now, was it easier to work without a through line?
I mean, we haven't got to that point. Like, it's easier for me because I can.
Right.
Well, so there's a couple good things about it. One, I can really, really, really honestly accept the best story. Because when I need a through line, I need someone who can accomplish my task of helping with the through line. So it not always is going to be the best story, but it's going to be the best one that helps me get the best result overall. Where this is literally, if you're the best story, I can put you in. Obviously we factor in things like social media presence and how much you're going to share and do stuff. But yeah, it's going to be easier. And I know for my wife though, it's going to be way easier being the editor. Because they're not going to have to read the rest of the book to figure it out. Does this story make sense? Is it proper grammar, proper spelling? All right, good to go. Next one.
All right, got you, man. Got you. Now, how many are you looking to do these? Because it looks like you're doing them annually. Is that your, I guess, course? Is that the plan for the future?
Or more. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be doing them annually. This Fairy Tales is a 3-volume set. So we're going to do Cthulhu volumes 1, 2, and 3. So there'll be different ones. And just because there's so many fairy tales to get to, we only have 4 of the big ones in here. The 4 big ones that we picked for this one are Little Red Riding Hood, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, Snow White, and Cinderella. So in volume 2, we have Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, 3 Little Pigs, Jack and the Beanstalk. So we're separating them out so everybody has some good core characters. But if you look at the page, most people, I think, will know 15 out of the 20 stories. If you owned a Grimm Fairy Tale book when you were a kid, you probably know 18 out of the 20.
Gotcha. All right, cool. And I haven't gotten it yet. How many days left do you have on the campaign?
We got 12. 12 days. Like I said, we're $300 away from our funding goal, minimum funding. So we'll probably hit that tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll go on to the next thing.
All right, cool. Listen, I mean, these books have always been great. So, I mean, I would tell anybody, order this. I will, be joining the bandwagon shortly.
Yeah. If you scroll down, that cover A is our new kind of motif for the fairy tales, which I think is neat. So we're going to do just like if you were picking up at Barnes and Noble. There you go. If you pick up Barnes and Noble, it's got those little borders around it in a frame. Carmeline's going to do all those covers. Carmeline did Buffy, Frey, Avengers Arena, Superboy. So a very talented artist, and super excited to have him for all 3.
Yeah. No, it looks great. Yeah, man. These are, listen, you always manage to knock it out the park. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You're literally, a couple $100 away and you're done.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, that I'm sure that'll keep going. Like you said, you'll probably be funded by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very good.
How long has it been up already?
We're about halfway. So we didn't do a full 30 days. I think we did 24. So we're about halfway.
Okay.
So it's a little bit slower than normal, but not anything crazy with the economy. And the first few days were gangbusters. We had a big person order a bunch and then drop. So not a big deal. It happens, but yeah, we had a big person ordered a bunch of stuff. We're doing this cool thing. We have this. So I asked for a proof, and they gave me a blank proof, and I was like, "This is the best thing ever," because now I can have the creators draw sketches in it and do a sketchbook. So
That's nice.
So this is going to be a one of a kind thing, and then we have our writers are doing a lot of sketches, and then we have an artist doing one as well. So it's a one of one, and we got two of those. But someone bought all of them, which was about $1,000, and was like, "Nah, I don't want to spend $1,000," which is fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is do I go on vacation or do I buy all these books, right?
Right. It's fair. I understand.
So look, real quick, I'll flash mine up there. This is Dreamweavers issue number 1.
Hold on, I got it.
Right.
Dreamweaver.
There you go.
I believe you could
All right. The pitch is a little off, but you're almost there. So this is a book that this was one of the first books I ever printed. This was like I said, 92. I was very young, and so was the artist. We were like 18, 19 years old, and I decided to remaster it. I relettered the whole thing. These are the 2 original covers by Matt Lunsford. This is the guy who eventually wound up doing all those other books, Senshi Muyu, La Blue Girl, all that other stuff. These are just some wallpapers. These are some of the interior pages. Just wanted to show that off. It's a fun book. We got all the way to issue 3. We're looking to complete the series, which is a 6-issue limited series, and we have a one-shot. So we're looking to put all those out. Like I said, we're going to do it in color this time around. And just to show you guys, so this is what it looked like back in 92, right? And this is what it looks like today. So, just to give you an example of what they're looking like. But, it's fun. So it's a big demon hunting thing, and like I said, I'm literally walking back to my past. So it's one of those things where it's never forget where you came from, and it's one of those things where I've always wanted to finish it, and I'm gonna get the chance to finish it. So
it was old as new again, bro.
Exactly, and we got something else. The last book of the night, Jay. Here you go.
Captain of the struggle bus, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, I'm driving it. I'm driving it all the way to the end, folks. So this is the Storm Chasers, collecting issues number 1 through 8 of the single issue series, The Storm Chasers. It's about a female hero, retired, who returns to the team she used to lead to help her rescue her child. But the team she's returned to is in shambles, so she needs to put them back together if her daughter ever has a shot at seeing the light of day again. We've got our trading cards. That's one of the things that we add as stretch goals in every campaign in the past. We have our graphic novels to some of the books that have been collected over the past. For those looking to save space, we have a digital catalog. If we ever get to our stretch goal, we'll get extra pages and more trading cards added. These are some of the other titles you can add on. And then we have original art as well that can be picked up. Some of them are original art for the trading cards that have been added. Some are for the single issues. Excuse me, one is for a single issue. One is for one of the trades. And then here are some of the preview pages to the book. Yeah, the usual wear and tear. Superhero stuff, our creative team. We got enamel pins if anybody's into that kind of thing. That's our digital catalog, like I said before. And then, what I really like are the trading cards. I'm a big fan. I'm a 80s, 90s collector's kid, and I remember when those Marvel Universe cards were hitting the shelves. And then if you are a returning backer, we give away a reward at no extra charge. Oh, we got somebody to jump back on. Thank you. Appreciate that. We got a reward, which is a holochrome trading card for anyone who is a returning physical backer. And if you just want the trading card, it's an extra 5 bones as an add-on.
All right. There you go.
There we go.
All right. All right. Back to the questions.
All right.
But listen, everybody, everybody has good books. I like it. Here we go. So we've all been in this for a little bit, right? And some of us longer than others, obviously. But what inspired the first comic that you ever published? Like, what was that first level of inspiration? Like, what was that thing that got you there? You know what I mean? Brian, I think we're back to you, sir.
I was dreading this question. Like when you said it, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna need every square to talk before me. Because the first one I did was like, I signed up for a MegaCon in Orlando in like 2009, and I didn't have anything. It was literally just like, should I have a comic there? Like, I didn't know what I was gonna. Was I gonna bring something like paper and just, you want me to draw you a picture? Like, I didn't know what to do. I just signed up for a table, and then I just like drew a comic, like an 11-page little black and white number, and went down to the FedEx and just printed it up, and that was it. It was literally panic that inspired me to like write something and draw something. Like, this is as good as I can do right now. Let me panic my way to having a stack of these things, and then of course I haven't looked at it since. I don't know where it lives in the world, but I sold all of them. So yes, panic.
Right.
That was my inspiration.
All right. Panic. I like that. Greg, what are your thoughts?
The first thing I ever wrote was because of boredom. So that's actually how my company started.
But what was the inspiration? Where did that idea spring from?
Literally just, I started, I guess my uncle, he was a firefighter, and then I just took him, and then I created superhero universe around that.
Nice.
So,
see, that's
yeah.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Cool. Katie, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like I said, the comic that got me into comics was Jeff Smith's Bone. But I mean,
Nice.
the very first like incarnation of Dragon Child had a lot, and the version that exists now is nothing like this. But the very first version kind of had a lot in common with Land Before Time. In that there was like a valley that they were living in, and then they're like, maybe we should peek out and see if it's okay, and they're like, no, it sucks out there, let's go back. But yeah, Jeff Smith's Bone, just because it, I wasn't into superheroes. I wanted to, read something that was a little bit more, what I would watch in a Don Bluth movie or, see in Disney or whatever. And, I was that kid that would read like every fantasy novel that I could find in the local library or at my, school's library. And when I found that, I'm like, ooh, comics can be something other than peanuts or superheroes. Awesome. Let's read more of that. Like volume 5, I probably read a good like 200 times before the next volume came out. I mean, I was obsessed. And yeah, I was very much like, yeah, I'm going to do the black and white comic thing because that's what, he was doing at the time. And then probably the next one that sort of solidified that was I found Dragon Ball when I was 14 and was like, ooh, this is different too. Let's do that. I mean, obviously that's not what my story is either, but it's, I just dig black and white comics. I mean, color can be cool, but I like black and white.
All right. Cool. Nice. Travis, what was that first creation, man?
Yeah, so I think I've shared, for people who don't know me, I'll share it again, but I grew up in Rochester, New Hampshire, is right next to Dover, where the Ninja Turtles come from. So for me, indie comics were kind of a thing. You know, Eastman and Lard were at local comic stores on the regular, and I've met them a few times. And then, you know, when I got old enough to figure everything else, we had the X-Men boom, and then we had the 90s Image booms and Death of Superman. So, like, for me, comics were all I wanted to do. So my other love was film, and I was huge into crime. So Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and all the rip-off things, you know, Way of the Gun and all those things. So
Great movie.
I got into crime comics, you know, so I was huge into Sin City, Stray Bullets, 100 Bullets. And I still have this philosophy. It's actually a big problem of mine. I'm like, why do I create, and I apologize, Jay, this may offend you. Why create new superheroes when all the ones I want to write are there? Like, they're already here. I just need to write those ones. So I started with a crime comic, and I wanted to do a crime comic. So that's where Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies came from. But even before that, I submitted to a crime indie book called Government Bodies. And I did a 5-page for that because I was like, that's my niche. I'm going to do crime. No one told me that crime is the worst selling comic in all categories, all over. You know, only thing that beats it is children's comics, right? It's children's comics and crime. And then children's comics are beating it tremendously now with Dogman and all the stuff there. But so crime is at the bottom. So yeah, that's where it came from. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell crime story that I wanted to be known as a crime guy.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario.
Yo, it's funny. Thank you for the lead in, Travis. I wasn't offended at all, right? I took the opposite approach from it because I am of Puerto Rican descent, right? And for me, growing up in comic books, there were only 2 Puerto Rican characters. There was White Tiger and Vibe, right? So you either had a breakdancing car thief with Vibe, or you had White Tiger. And there's, you know, no tigers or martial arts ever came from the island of Puerto Rico. So I'm in college, and this was during the Age of Apocalypse X-Men stuff, right? And I'm in between classes. I'm in the library. Whenever I find a book on mythology, I've always loved mythology, but all I ever knew in comic books, all I was from comic books, it was, you know, the Greek, the Roman, or the Norse. That's it. That's it. The only time I ever heard about Marduk or Tiamat was from a real Ghostbusters cartoon, right? I didn't know about anything else of any other mythology. So here I'm reading a book on mythology. It was 2 books and an index. And I don't remember what the book is. I have the Xeroxed pages. Xerox, right? That's how far back I'm going here. I still have the Xerox pages, and those are my prized possessions because I Xeroxed the only excerpts from this book that referenced Taino Indian mythology, but on the pages I don't have the name of the book. All I remember it was digest size, and it was almost like this red felt fabric book. So if anybody comes across it, please let me know. But I found Taino Indian mythology in this book, and being from Puerto Rico, we didn't fucking know there was mythology that came from us at all. So that's one of the reasons why that's so cherished for me. And I found this one myth called the Cave of Life, and they believed that the birds, the water, the air, everything came out of this cave, and this one deity protected. He would protect it. His name was either Marocael or Marocel. I don't know how it was pronounced. But every night he would defend the cave. Excuse me. Yeah, every night he would defend the cave, right, from attackers and stuff like that. And one day he fell asleep, and the spirit of earth, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that name in the Native American tongue. It's really bad. But she punished him, and she turned him to stone, forever closing off the Cave of Life. That is the legitimate myth. I took that one character, and I'm like, right, the creative juice started flowing in that moment. How do I play that? How do I take that Shazam type of twist to this? How do I take this person who was punished, but still they needed a defender to protect everything that this deity failed to do? And then whatever, we take his spirit and we place that into new champions over the years. And boxing is big with Puerto Ricans. So how do I, incorporate that and what I learned over the years is trying to sell a book with a Puerto Rican lead is really hard. You're talking about a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. I was looking at a small demographic, so I placed them within the team book, and I took the concept of the whole giant size X-Men, and can I find other nationalities which were maybe underrepresented within my world? My best friend growing up, his dad was Thai and his mom was Puerto Rican. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. That's one group there, right? My neighbor down the other end was from Africa. My teacher was Israeli. I used to hang out with kids who were Sikhs or Canadians, and I grew up in a very multi-ethnic area. Well, we lived in a place surrounded by many West Indians, so I found all of those people, and not trying to say I was playing racial bingo. I was taking them for my life, and I placed them within this book, surrounding this one character that I really wanted to be in the forefront. But I found myself enjoying writing these other characters and learning them as well. So that's where it started for me. A fucking book about mythology.
Hey, listen, man, that's fair. I mean, we both share the same heritage as far as being Puerto Rican, right? Yeah. The difference, it's funny because the first book I really came up on my own with is Tall Tales. And the reason, with that, it was like things like, Fritz Lieber, Roger Zelazny, like all these different authors, there's a whole litany of them. But on top of that is Dungeons and Dragons, Disney's Robin Hood, those types of things.
Okay.
And the thing is for me, coming across that same issue where it's like, where do I see myself in these characters? That's why it was important for me to make these characters that anybody could imprint themselves on, right? So if you have like Oswald or Ravenwood or Clear, any of these characters that are in the stories, anybody can imprint themselves on those characters because it's a cat person or it's a dog person or a rhino or whatever. So you can imprint yourself on. It doesn't matter what nationality you're from, and you can find yourself in that character. And that was always my thought process with that. Although I did do superheroes and I did do, some Puerto Rican superheroes or whatever. But, and listen, man, I mean, it's one of those things where we just got to have fun with it. And,
Got to. I'm sorry, going back to the Puerto Rican superheroes for a second. It didn't, the level of insult didn't stop with the Vibe and the White Tiger. In the 90s, Marvel did an annual season where they introduced new heroes. And in the Captain America book, they had a Puerto Rican boxer called the Battling Bantam who just wore red boxing gloves, red headgear, and a fighting gamecock wing on its head. And then the Fantastic Four had a one-shot, all in Spanish, with the chupacabra, and it was just somebody wearing a Puerto Rican flag and a beef skull. A cow skull on it, and it's just like
this is why I don't ever try to talk about Marvel Comics on the show. But anyway,
I'm sorry, it's just like you know what I mean. So I mean, I felt insulted.
They gave you Miles Morales. You do have to share with the black community. They gave you Miles Morales.
Okay, so let me hit you with this. Why is Spider-Man not worthy enough of getting an entire 100% Hispanic Spider-Man, right? Miles Morales is 50-50, and Miguel O'Hara is 50-50. You tease it. You give me the tease.
Well, my understanding is it was based on Brian Michael Bendis' kids. So I think his kids, there is two
his daughters are black. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think they're mixed. I don't know.
They're mixed heritage. I didn't know they were.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're mixed heritage. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what
I remember hearing him talk about this, how he was learning how to do the hair when they were growing up and stuff like that, which is a great story. I wish some of that could have been incorporated. Whatever. Right.
So Jay, ask your next question.
Okay. Here's it's a toss-up. Here's a gimme. For those of you doing conventions, what's going to be your next stop? Whether it's the next few weeks, the next few months, the next year. What's going to be your next stop?
All right. Greg, you're up.
The next one is in October, and it's a 1-day con at this failing mall, like very close to my house. It's like a Sasquatch, like a cryptids kind of con.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
it's kind of cool. So we're doing that.
So it's themed as cryptids?
Yeah, but
Okay.
we're probably gonna sell our horror anthology a lot there.
Okay.
So
Okay, good, man. Good.
All right, cool. Katie, what's your next show?
Next show is SAC Anime in Sacramento over the last weekend of the year. So, I mean, of the month. So, the 31st through the 2nd, August to September. And yeah, it's a great show, relatively reasonably priced. And it's got one of the most supportive artist alleys that I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of. We're doing all sorts of like little rallies to get people going from table to table. It's they try and make sure that people see us as opposed to just, seeing all the main vendor spots, and they like go out of their way to make sure to get a bunch of like current voice acting teams. So I want to say this time they're having the Has-Been Hotel whole lineup of voice
very
actors there. In the past, they've had like multiple Disney princesses, that kind of thing. I want to say they had My Hero Academia, the one earlier this year. So they do one in January and then one in September every year, which is great.
Very nice. Brian.
I'm going to be in Tampa next week on the 22nd, Tampa Bay Comic Con, and it's the first convention I've been to since 2017.
Oh, wow.
So I've been out of the game. I'm going to test market all my stuff, and we'll figure it out.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Travis, what's your next?
I'm going to try to sneak over to Tampa. I've got some shenanigans working out that may get me in Tampa. But if that doesn't work out, which I'm okay if it doesn't, I will be at Baltimore Comic Con. So I'll be at the big Baltimore.
What weekend is that?
I get 2 badges, Travis.
What's that?
I think I get 2 badges.
You don't know how much stuff I got, Brian. I need I need 2 tables and I force it on one.
Fair enough.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I haven't sold well in Tampa in the past, but it's been a few years because I've boycotted it for those reasons. So I mean, I'm gonna bash on Tampa. They don't even like Tampa Bay Comic Con is owned by a big company that does Comic Cons. And just to show how they respect the comics, if you look up artists on the website, it's next weekend. There's nothing there. Yeah. Just to show you, how they feel about the comic part of their Comic Con.
Gotcha. All right, cool. It's funny. I had someone contact me and I agreed to go to their show, and it's in a library on Long Island.
Oh, nice.
And it's sometime in September, and I don't remember where it is or where this convention is being held, but I agreed to go, so I got to find this stuff out.
Is it a 2-day show or a 1-day show?
It's a 1-day library, and what's funny is I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, because they just offered me, and I'm gonna go, and they give me a table, and I offered to do a panel, right? Oh, okay. And then the craziest thing was he asked me, oh, what do you charge to do a speaking engagement? I just started laughing. I was like, dude, don't even worry about it. I was just like,
rookie move.
I know.
Say a number.
Everybody counts, kid.
Oh,
what are you doing?
I know. But I'm like, come on, I do this show.
Give them a number and say, for you're giving me a table,
This is why we're all on Kickstarter. It's because we're not taking money when it's offered.
I know.
To back up JD though, like I did a library event back in, I think it was March this year. Sold like freaking gangbusters. I mean, people at library events are there to buy books. And, if like the number of people, it was a free event, and, just like sell comics and enjoy it, because those things are fun. Like I enjoy those more than cons half the time because they're great when they happen.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing Daphne and I are going to probably be focusing on going into the next year, is because we have a lot of 1-day shows. Like we have like high schools and libraries and stuff in the area. So we're probably going to be looking to do more of those. And we're looking to get back into anime shows because we haven't been into any of those in a while. So
I live in Florida, so if we have libraries next year, that'd be amazing.
Oh man.
got it. Sorry.
Damn.
Jay, where are you going? Well, I know where you're going, but go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, no, Brian, that hurts me, man. Shoot. New York Comic Con is my next show. That's the big one. That's the Super Bowl for me. I don't know exactly what booth number it is, but I'll be in the 900 aisle, a small press. It is the same booth that we had last year. So if you were anybody watching was there, we're in the same spot. I can't wait to corner spot, and we're gonna run a couple things at the show.
All right. Very nice. Travis, you're up.
All right. Talking about cons, what was my second question? Now you got me all fumbled. Oh, I got a question. So my next question, you're really gonna have to soul search like you didn't have to the first time because I asked the tough ones. What would you need right now to level you up from where you are? And it can't be like money or like more backers. Like it has to be something a little more substantial instead of like, if I just had more backers and money, I'd be fine. Yeah, of course you would, buddy. I understand.
Okay, fair enough. Katie.
I have been joking for years that it would be great if I could somehow manufacture the perfect stuffing implement. So not even joking. So like, people go to like Build-A-Bear and they say, oh, that's just something you can buy, right? Well, first of all, those wouldn't work for my plushes. Second of all, they're like not reasonable, even if that were something you could work with. And so I would love and I would honestly do a Kickstarter for this to have like half like a really long, like we're talking 2-foot metal chopstick and, rounded end on the one side. And then the other side, so sort of the top of the chopstick would be like a paintbrush tip with synthetic bristles. That would be perfect. That is exactly what I need. Either that or like a laminator.
Katie, you are in the comic business.
No, I know. Well, that's why I say the other option is a laminator, so I can print my own comics, because that's the one thing I don't have is a lamination machine.
Brian, I hear what you're saying, but Katie, I also think you should be in the trademark business because that is something you should apply to U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Get ready.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They literally don't exist. Like people, you talk to people that make these things, like myself, and they're using whatever they can find around their house. Does it move? Fiber fill, that's what they're using. There is no stuffer.
Right.
So yeah, that and a lamination machine, that's what I need.
Right. You need to find a metalsmith is what you need.
Yes. No, 100%. We have this really cool place relatively nearby called the Crucible, and they make, swords and all sorts of, smithery type stuff. And, that would be my first go-to, but I'm sure there's something simpler. I mean, it can't be that hard to do. It's just, you snip it, you have something to, get the synthetic fibers. It can't be that hard, but they don't exist. It's weird.
All right, cool. Greg, what are your thoughts?
More help within my team because it's only me and Dylan, but not just the artists and stuff, like actually have people helping me because I ask him to do things and then he's busy doing 7 other things for other businesses that he has. I ask that in a post and actually have people interested. So now I just have to reach out to them and stuff. So yeah, it would help a lot.
All right, fair enough. Brian, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think similar to Greg, I am an artist. I am a writer. I am trying to social market on the internet. I think I need like a partner of some kind to handle logistics, because it's like it is my stumbling block, like just to like do all the things I need to do to schedule myself in a way that like everything makes sense. But honestly, I'm okay to just keep going and just I'd rather fall on my face than have to like owe anybody anything, so we'll see.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Rosario.
Yeah, I want to say bandwidth and the time to manage all of that. I'm a big micromanager, so even if I brought somebody else on, I'd be on top of them, making sure that they're doing stuff the right way, and to retire finally from the day job so I can focus all of my efforts to losing every dime that's left in my pocket. That's where I'm at.
I think we're all there, Jay. We understand. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I have a deep history in printing, and one of the things that I thought about for a little while, not currently, what I would like to have done is to open a comic shop that has a print shop in the back.
Nice.
And it would only be indies in the shop. I would not sell any mainstream books. But if we're talking about what I'm actually doing, probably, yeah, that additional help to not so much manage the product, but it's more to get the word out, because it's the one thing that I'm just horrible at. I just keep banging my face against it. It's literally just getting that help where to get the message out of the stories. You understand it, and just get it out there in a way that it would just get into more people's hands. Because I feel the work I produce is good. I know when I get it in people's hands, they appreciate it and they come back for more. Because like I've done things at shows where I would have $1 book. I would produce $1 book, and I would say, look, the book is $1 and has a money back guarantee. So if you don't like the book, bring it back. I'll give you back your buck, as long as you give it back to me in sellable condition. And I've only ever had one person come back, ask for their $1, and that was only because it was a little kid and he wanted to buy something else on the table. $10, and that was fine. And I ended up giving the book anyway. But I think that's where my biggest deficiency would be to try to get someone to help me promote better. I need a pitch person. So, Travis, it's in your court. What do you need, sir?
Nothing. I'm perfect. But I'm glad you asked. I appreciate that.
I applaud you.
So what I need, I really need someone to cons slip me by. I'm willing to go to cons. I love cons, but I really just need someone to sign me up, because I even have enough creds that 50% of the cons that I apply to, like as long as it's not in New York or San Diego or something like that, I would even get in for free at a table. I just need someone to email them properly and respond and follow up. I just can't. I'm so busy working on the product and marketing the product that I just don't have the time to do that. And then people ask questions like Jay rudely, because he wants to brag about being at New York Comic Con. You go, what cons you at? And I'm like, I'm only at Baltimore because I was there last year and I had a good time and I thought I could make money. It's just that was my only plan all year. Even MegaCon, which is my home show, I was like, I don't need to renew. I'll be there next. Like, no, I just need someone to just send the email for me, send them my creds, and like I could get a table, and I just don't. And I'm an embarrassment to my family and to everyone around me. And I apologize.
All right, so everyone who's within voice distance listening to this show, if you want to be Travis's PA, his personal assistant, just reach out to Travis. He will be more than happy to take you on, because this is what the man needs. He needs a PA.
Right. How much does he pay? Hope it's more than $3.99. Right?
Well, I mean, they're personal assistant. They're not the guy, Jay. You know, I mean,
It's on his shirt. He pays in coins, in junior coins.
I will pay the highest price table item that I would bring to the con. The cons that they get, I will not bring CGC.
There you go. There you go. Well, I know he'd be willing to pay them in your Galactus.
Hey, simmer down.
Absolutely.
Simmer down. Simmer.
But I would probably pay for that. I'll be honest.
All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna softball everybody with this last question. So here we go. When you see a cover, right? What is the thing that attracts you the most when you see a brand new cover on a book? Doesn't matter from what company. It doesn't matter even if it's a comic book. It could be anything. Like when you see a cover, what is the thing that generally attracts you to that cover? I think we're back at Brian.
It's gonna be a weird answer, I guess. The thing that would catch my eye is a good use of negative space and shapes within those negative space.
Like
it literally pulls you in. So it's like it's literally just those shapes. I don't care what it is, but I'm like, this artist understands how to pull me in. So I'm curious.
I like that.
Gotcha. Are you a fan of Alex Toth, or do you know of Alex?
Yeah,
Toth?
absolutely. Absolutely. But God, like, so you know how everybody uses that Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller cover, right?
Yes.
They all ape it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost perfect in its use of negative space. So it's like it's covers like that. It's just you know everything about it from a glance, and you don't even have to really know that it's Batman to sort of get it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Fair enough. I like it. Greg, what are your thoughts?
I don't know, like I want to say like a nostalgia factor or something. Like if it reminds me of something else, that I do that a lot with mittens. So, like, that's what pulls me in. So I have something made that I like. I'm like, oh, other people will like it.
All right. Fair enough. Katie, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna, two things. I agree with Brian. Negative space, as somebody who's, been an art student most of my life, that is something that catches my eye. But the other thing is color theory. Like if you get a good color theory, forward cover, or even just bright colors in general, I'm like, I am here for that. I always get pissed off when I'm, out in the world and noticing how many white, black, and beige cars there are. I wish that you'd have more just like Crayola crayon color vehicles. That would make me so much happier. So covers are the same way. I want bright colors, and I want, please don't use vibrating edges. And if you know what that is, you understand why that hurts my brain. But yeah, colors done well. The ironic thing is, of course, that I prefer black and white comics, but you got to have a beautiful cover.
Fair. Travis, what are your thoughts?
So I like busy covers, probably because I'm a Marvel and DC guy. So the more like stuff on the cover, it's got to be fighting, or it's got to be like a team shot. I like busy covers. So it tends to be what attracts me, or something that really shares raw emotion. However, to get me to buy a variant cover, it's got to be something special. Like to get me to buy, like I don't buy variant covers. I'm a cover A guy. So you either got to do like, I like the mosaics that they've been doing with the Spider-Man or X-Men. They'll have like all the old issues together to make one piece. Like I love those. Or Kevin Eastman doing Turtles. Like I will pay whatever cover I need to get that one, even though he has nothing to do with the book really anymore. But I still want that cover because Eastman should be drawing Turtles. Anybody else is drawing Turtles is a travesty. Maybe Peter can draw a couple. I mean, if he wants to.
Right.
Yeah, those are what attracts me.
All right, cool. Jay.
Katie took my answer with color theory. It's great. I love it. I also love how they can use lighting from off panel, right, to tell you another part of the story. whether it's a fire or explosion someplace else. I like that. But since you took that answer, I want to say corner boxes, man. Nobody's really doing corner boxes. I miss corner boxes, especially on team books where you see the different heads of those that would be there. I want to see some corner boxes, or the way, Byrne told an image for multiple months of the Hulk ripping out of his shirt or whatever, from different corner boxes consecutively. I want to see corner boxes, man. Give me a nice cover dress.
Fair enough. I'm actually a logo person. I like a nice, strong, clear logo.
Okay.
I agree with Eric Larson. ROM perhaps is the greatest logo ever invented.
Oh, okay.
You can see that sucker in red 3 blocks away, and you'll know who it is and where it's from. The same thing goes with the old Thor logo, right? Where it's like the Rocky hammer. You can see that across the room. You're like, oh, it's Thor.
Oh,
and you just see it from a distance. You're like, oh, there it is. And you just
I like the other Thor logo where the O, was separated at the top. That was a nice one.
Yeah, it's nice close up. But what I'm saying is but as far as the graphic is concerned, the old one I think stands out more. It's like
Gotcha.
you literally be across the street, like, oh, it's Thor.
Yeah,
Same
the
thing
thing we forget about logos is a lot of those guys, they were trained in advertising before they did comics.
Right.
So their logos were basically Campbell's soup cans and all these other brands. They were creating brands that would last. So yeah, we don't have that training. Not really anymore. We're aping the things we saw, or we're using the new technology to get the new font or the new. It's all different now. Like, we just don't have that theory embedded in us the way that they did.
Yeah, and it's weird when you have a comic named, what is it? What's the one Tinian does?
Something's killing the children.
Yeah, it's like, how do you make that, graphically,
Yeah, it's basically a book title, right?
Yeah,
it's like a novel title. It's not a comic title.
Right.
Still sells great, so
Oh yeah, it's a good book. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, but Tierney's, his big goal is to get into the book market, and he's been killing it there. So it's working. But I think as a whole in indie comics, I think that's the biggest thing. When I look through Kickstarter, what frustrates me the most is the lack of effort in the cover design, like logo and letterbox or company branding. It tends to be like whatever the logo is. About 50% of them have professional, 50 of them don't, and then nothing, right? Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He got house with the house, nice house on the left, on the lake, nice house on the sea. He likes long titles.
Yep. He enjoys his long titles.
Yeah.
So before we go, I do have a question for Travis. That's right.
What did I do?
You know what you did. No. No, this and I would like everybody to chip it, because you're, I think, out of everybody here, the most forward, I guess, in the direct market.
Okay.
Right. So my question to you is, how do you feel about it? Like how's it working out? Is it working out well? Do you feel positively about it? Because I know you answered the question. I mean, and I'm curious, do you think it's a route that, people doing Kickstarter should pursue? Right? Because it's something that's going on in my mind. It's something that I'm looking to pursue over the next 12 months, 16 months.
Good question.
So there's a couple of answers to that, right? So my goal is to work for Marvel or DC at one point, or Image. Like, that's my goal.
Right.
So for me, any loss of money going to the direct market doesn't matter to me. I need my name in that market.
Right.
Does that make sense? I need that name in my market. And every publisher that I can say, knock on wood, I have been profitable or break even. So I've not left any money on the table. No, I'm a good investment to try to keep that. And that's helped out really well for me. So that's because those are my goals. That's the stuff. Now, the last couple of years are really rough, especially in indie comics, any publisher that you could really, the problem is so many of these publishers, Scout, SourcePoint, all the good ones, or the ones that we felt were good ones, went heavy during the pandemic because Marvel and DC were like pens down. So like, this is our chance.
Right.
And then they didn't slow down. Like they wanted it to be that momentum, not thinking that Marvel and DC are still going to take them down. Right. So all of them are fractions of what they were before. So a lot of these people aren't getting what they want. A lot of people are upset with their contract. A lot of people go into comic stores, they think that they're going to sell tons of the average comic. And here's the sad point: the average indie comic, when you're not at the top tier, that means Mad Cave and up. So Mad Cave, Boom, Image, Marvel, DC, all of them down. Their higher selling books are 1,000 copies right now. Right. It just is. Couple of exceptions, may get to 3, 5. But a lot of that's selling variant covers and getting that hype over on, Whatnot or eBay. So it's inflated numbers. It's not real numbers. The shop orders are only 1,000. No one can make money on that. You or the store, nobody can make money on that. So what's the point of doing that? So that's one side of it. The second side of it, though, if you can build good relationships with stores, they can sell you out all the time. So I have a few key relationships with like 5 or 6 stores that every one of my books sell as good as a low-level X-Men type. So 20 to 30 copies when they come out. But it's maintaining those relationships. And I don't think indie creators really – I think we need money to make the next thing. So we don't think of loss leaders, right? So I sell comic stores like I don't make a dime on those stores really. But they're selling a lot of my books, so I'm getting fans. And then a few of them will come to Kickstarter and I can get some money, right? Because they don't want to wait until I give them Granite State Punk. They want it when the next person gets it. So it's building those relationships, trying to figure that out. And then the third problem when it comes to, it's a question you didn't ask, but right now in current 2024, there is no good digital option. I know Global Comics claims they're great and blah, blah, blah. I know we hated, what was Amazon's calling? Comixology? I know we hated Comixology, but people bought Comixology books. If you had your book on Comixology, you would make a couple of bucks. Doesn't matter the quality of your book, you were making a couple of bucks. So we don't have that because all the new ones are like, we'll give you money when you get to 50, 70, 100 bucks, whatever their special, you're never going to get that. And I kind of feel like they make sure you don't get that. I'm going to throw out that shade right there. They kind of make sure that you don't get paid on that. So hopefully, I think everyone, if your goal is to level up and to get there and to get more fans, I think that. But if it's to help your Kickstarter, it's not gonna, because that's what I thought. I was hoping that I'd get a lot of fans over there, be able to transfer to Kickstarter. It doesn't really, but it does help my recognition for cons. And if you think about how much you spend on getting at cons every year, well, if you can get into cons for free because you got some direct market stuff, that's where you're really making money. Is you're getting that free table versus the guy next to you who's paying the $300, and con prices are going up, up, and up.
Yep. All right, fair enough. Anybody got anything to add to that? Anybody want to jump in on that? No. All right. So we made it to hour 2, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys were all fantastic. And Brian, we'll start with you. Where can we find you and your work, sir?
You can find me at Brian Thomas Wolf on Instagram. It's a good place to follow me. I post a lot of art there, and the next week I'll be posting daily the sketch covers I do that I'll be selling at Tampa Bay from my comic Gravesitter. Steel Victory is still on Kickstarter for one more day, so come and check it out. And then, of course, Travis's book, Cthulhu Invades, Grim Fairy Tales. I draw a 5-page story in there. I have another piece of key art in there, I believe, and I think it's going to be great.
Nice.
Greg?
All the social media, Sierra Nova Comics, just everything. Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call that now. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, we're everywhere. Our website, Sierra Nova Comics.
Gotcha. All right. OnlyFans?
There too. Just me sitting on the couch.
JD, you laugh, but there was a guy in my Discord who literally was selling his comic book that it was not for safe for work, just his random comic on OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying a new niche, and I'm like, My wife is going to want to know why I have OnlyFans, and she's not going to believe it's for a comment. I promise you.
Listen, just tell her to watch the stream, right?
I guess.
Katie, where can they find you and your work?
So easiest answer is probably Linktree/Dragonchild, but on everything except for Twitter, it's Dragonchild Comic, and then Twitter is Dragonchild KS because that's what fits. But yeah, and of course Kickstarter launched today, so we're up for another 30 days.
All right, very nice, very nice. Travis, where can they find you and your work, sir?
All right, I want you to find me at 3 places. You can find me all over, but there's 3 places. TravisGibb.substack.com. That's where I give all my information. That's where I post all my stuff. You'll find links to my online store, all that. Obviously, Cthulhu Invades Fairy Tales. But if you're watching this and you're an indie creator, one of the things that I do, that I spearhead, that I'm very, very proud of, is in October, I do Indietober. So what that is, it's a Facebook group. So search Indietober, just as it sounds. And your character can be one of the featured characters, and we encourage people to draw it during the month of October. So if you have a character, I start picking that list in September, which is only a few weeks away. So if you want to be part of that list, you want to be considered, all you have to do is have at least one published issue of that work that people have got, you know? And I consider it, and every year is new people. I never repeat, characters per se. I do people, but new characters. So if you want to be part of it, come on over.
All right, cool. Mr. Rosario.
UnstoppableComics.com. You'll find all our social media links on that website, UnstoppableComics.com. But we just started a Substack, Unstoppable Comics, and I haven't updated the website with that. Friday nights, Comic Book Streamland here on YouTube, where Calderon and I pretty much go at each other again. So if you want to get down with that banner, see how we don't kill each other, jump on Friday nights. And Kickstarter for the next 6 days, Storm Chasers Volume 1 and 2. Over 200 pages of comic book goodness.
All right, cool. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places. More importantly, you can find me on Kickstarter currently with Dreamweavers. I have a Substack as well that I've been updating weekly. And that's pretty much it. And just about and now I'm involved. All right. Every Sunday here at 7:30 p.m. with Mr. Rosario and various other creators. This Tuesday, right, with Rob Moltari, I will be on a show where we discuss, where we try to help various creators with the situations they're involved in, you know, and helping them with their creative issues, whether it be in campaigns or even with story work or finding artists or whatever. It's a workshop where we try to help them with their issues. So it's going to be an interesting one this week. It's going to be very, very interesting because of the guests we have on. So it's going to be very good. So thank you, everybody. And just remember, everyone, go check out those links. All those links are in the show notes. Click those links, buy those books. All of these creators are awesome. All of them deserve your help. All of those campaigns that I featured or that we featured today are in those links. Go click them. Go buy some books. And remember, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Later.